Today I'm going to be making apple pie stuffed snickerdoodle cookies. This recipe has a list of ingredients for the cookie base and then a list of ingredients for the caramel apple filling. So for the cookie base, you will need 1½ sticks of butter, 3/4 cup white sugar, ½ cup brown sugar, 1 egg and 1 egg yolk, 2 teaspoons of vanilla, 2½ cups of all-purpose flour, a ½ teaspoon of baking soda, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and 8 to 10 pieces of soft caramel candy. So we bought these craft caramels in the candy aisle at Walmart, and we will unwrap 8 to 10 pieces when it's time. For the caramel apple filling, which is the part we're going to be dealing with right now, you need 2 Honeycrisp apples peeled and diced small. So Kevin peeled the apples, Kevin diced them really small, and we put them directly in the saucepan. You need 1 tablespoon of lemon, and I buy this Italia garden lemon juice. It's usually in the produce section, and so I have my tablespoon there. You need a ½ cup of white sugar and 2 tablespoons of butter. So the first thing we're going to do is, in a small saucepan, we have the apples, we have the lemon juice, and the sugar. And we're going to cook this on medium heat. You want to mix frequently and then cook for 15 to 20 minutes until the apples are tender and the water has dried. So as you can see, the water is gone from the bottom of these apples and they're tender. So we want to add our 2 tablespoons of butter, and we're just going to stir this in until the butter has completely melted. Once the butter melts, I'm going to take this off the heat and I'm going to let this come to room temperature. So that will probably take an hour or so. So I have a cookie sheet here with parchment paper. Just make sure you get a cookie sheet that will fit in your freezer. We have some larger cookie sheets that won't fit in the freezer, so we always have to make sure we use a smaller cookie sheet for the freezer. But line it with parchment paper. You want to take your apple mixture that's at room temperature. I know that I'm supposed to get 12 to 14 cookies. My goal is to get 12 because I want bigger cookies. So you want to get 12 dollops of this apple mixture and put it on the parchment paper. I have a ½ tablespoon. That might be too much. It might be too little. So I'm going to start out with the halves and put it here. And then if I need to add more or take away some, I can. Okay, so I have my 12 here, and I have a bunch left. So I may have been okay to use a whole tablespoon to begin with, but I didn't know because it doesn't say how much. So I'm going to just start taking this and adding it to what I already have here. Okay, so now I'm going to stick this in the freezer, and then we're going to start working on our dough. So to make our dough, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cream our butter and our sugars. And that butter has been sitting out since the very beginning, so this should not take long for it to get fluffy. I'm going to add my egg yolk, my egg, which I have had these back in the refrigerator, and my vanilla. We scrape the bowl down one time, and we're going to add our baking soda and our salt and then all of the flour until it's gone, until it's mixed in. I have my dough here. I have my kitchen scale and I have it on grams. We're gonna weigh all of the dough together at this point because we want, that feels so good. It feels so soft.
Like a nice Play-Doh. Huh?
Yeah, we want to divide it into the 12 cookies. So I'm gonna weigh all my dough together and then we'll divide this number by 12. So it is going to be 929. 929. What a number.
Equals 77 and a half, basically.
77.4. 77.4. Okay.
Shoot for 74. If you go over a little bit, it's all right.
Parchment paper. Oh, we can do it like that. There we go. Okay. So 77.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to form these into balls. And then I have a plate over here with some parchment paper and I'm going to put the ball on the plate. Continue to do this. I'm going to make 12 balls like I said, and then I'm going to take this plate and I'm going to put it into the refrigerator, and we're going to leave these in the refrigerator until our apple mixture in the freezer is frozen. I had my apples in the freezer for an hour, so that means the dough balls were in there for a little less than an hour, but they're good and cold. So now what you want to do is you want to basically you stick your finger in the middle and you want to make like a well, and I'm gonna make mine deep because I have to fit this in there, and I'm gonna pick it up with a spoon like this, and then I'm gonna wrap the dough around the apple like this. And with the next one, I'll make it a little bit thinner. I'll patty it out more so that it is easier. And you might be able to see some of the apple, like there's a piece there, there's a piece here, it's okay. And then I'm gonna put this on a clean piece of parchment paper over here. So I'm gonna flatten it out a little bit more. And it's a little, I think it's a little harder to work with, the dough, once it cools off like this. But I know this is what they recommend you do, so. And when I put it down on the parchment paper, I am putting that bottom part, that like seam part, I'm putting that side down, and this is gonna be the top. So I'm gonna keep doing this with all of these, and then this is going to go back in the refrigerator again for 20 minutes. But about the 10-minute mark, we're going to preheat the oven, because it takes our oven about 10 minutes to heat up. So I'm gonna set my timer for 10 minutes, and then I'll heat my oven to 325. And then I'll leave these in an additional 10 minutes, and then we'll be back. Cookies, you can see they really didn't spread at all, but they did take a total of 22 minutes. But you're only baking them at 325, so it's like, I'm surprised that the temperature was so low anyway. But they look really nice on the bottom. They're perfectly baked. They just took 22 minutes. So now what they want you to do is they want you to take 8 to 10 of these caramels, these Kraft caramels, and they're telling you to put them in the microwave in a heat-proof bowl and heat them up. We'll see if they melt correctly this way. On the back of this bag, it's talking about using a hot saucepan and heating them up over water like a, what is that called?
Double boiler.
Like a double boiler, yes. If this doesn't work correctly, then I do have a backup caramel we can use instead. So we're gonna go with the backup plan. What happened with the other caramels is, Kevin, we'll explain when we get them to the table. That's what we'll do. We'll explain to you what happened when we get them to the table. We are gonna go with this backup plan though. This is the Private Selection Sea Salt Caramel Dessert Topping. It says it's great for cakes and stuff like that. And so it sounds really good. So we're gonna go with this. And it does seem really runny. So I'm just gonna put a little bit over each cookie, and then I might put them in the refrigerator. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I don't know if this will firm up. I don't know what to expect with this. Let's cut one in half. So this caramel is not the kind of caramel that like firms up. So just know that it is a little runny, but that's fine. Oh, that looks terrific. So let's talk about what happened with the caramel.
I put it in the microwave. First of all, there's no directions anywhere about them melted. Nowhere.
Well, except for putting
on the double boiler with water and all that stuff, which we weren't gonna do. But the recipe just said stick it in the microwave and melt it, and no directions or anything. So I tried it for 45 seconds, and it melted, but it overdid it a little bit. It got a little scorch marks on it. Not bad, just a few. And it's like, well, I'm gonna redo this. So I was gonna scrape it out into the garbage, and it was really hard. So we were looking at each other. It was like, we don't want hard caramel on here.
We have had cookies before.
They have like a whole disc.
With a really thick, almost hard caramel. So that when you bite into it, it sticks to the back of your teeth.
Yeah, you just literally pull the whole thing off.
And if you've had a cookie like that, you know. It's just that really tough, thick, hard caramel. And we were like, we don't want that kind of caramel. Yeah. That's not the kind of caramel that we want.
Either this is the wrong caramel to buy for this cookie, or it was just better to put the sauce on it. Maybe they sell softer caramel. I don't know.
Yeah, but this is fine. I mean, it's on there. It's covering the cookie. Yeah. But I don't know. I told Kevin it did not dawn on me. It never dawned on me until. And it says, let me just read you this. It says, these apple pie stuffed cookies are going to be your new favorite cookies with a caramel sweet apple filling wrapped into buttery, soft, and chewy snickerdoodle cookies. There's no cinnamon in them.
Yeah.
They're not, these aren't snickerdoodle. I don't know what the person.
Snickerdoodle used to have cinnamon.
Cinnamon. I don't know what the person, and I'll link it below. I'll link the recipe below. But I'm just telling you, these are not, this is a basic cookie dough. It's not snickerdoodle at all. And I didn't forget to put cinnamon. They never mentioned cinnamon. There are some other typos about this recipe though. For example, on the front, on the top part of the ingredients, it says you need 8 to 10 pieces of soft caramel candy. Then when you get to the part where you're heating the caramel up, it says 3 to 4 pieces. So it's like, okay, which is it? 8 to 10 or 3 to 4?
It does say soft caramel though, so that was just our problem.
Yeah, it just, there's certain things about this recipe that don't make sense, and so that's why it's good to, and like the oven time is so low that it's like, I had to bake ours for 22 minutes. There's just certain things that you kind of have to play with if you're going to do this. Okay.
Yeah, they could have actually put cinnamon in the apple while you're cooking it. You could put cinnamon in the apple.
I know.
I have opinions about it. I do like this cookie. It's got a really good flavor. I like the cookie itself. I like the apple. The apple really shines. There's really not a lot that's caramel about it though. The only caramel you're getting is the topping. They were acting like the inside's like, well, it says caramel apple filling.
That's another thing.
It's not caramel in the middle.
Their description says a caramel sweet apple filling. You didn't put any caramel in with the apples. It's like there was a section that was left out.
Well, you didn't cook it enough to make it caramel. You didn't cook it long enough to turn it into caramel. So
no.
It's sweet, it's just not caramel.
If you wanted like a pie filling, like an apple cinnamon, well, first of all, you could probably buy a pie filling.
That was going to be one of my suggestions. Instead of making the apple filling, I think I'd just buy a can of pie filling.
Or if you did do it this way, which I don't know why you would want to. Why would you want to go to the trouble of buying the apples, having to cut them up,
cooking the apple,
when you could buy pie filling? But I'm just thinking, if you did want to do it this way, and you wanted them to be more like snickerdoodle, then I would put some cinnamon in with the apples when you're stirring them up.
Yeah, that's why a pie filling would be nice. Although the pie filling is going to be more wet, it's like it's just going to be apples like this was.
Right.
But if you're freezing them, it may not be that bad. I don't know. I don't know how it would turn out. But it needs some cinnamon somewhere in there. I like the apple.
To call it a snickerdoodle, it needs cinnamon.
I do like them. I like the cookie. I like the cookie dough. The cookie dough flavor and texture is really, really nice. The apples taste nice and sweet. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it.
The cookie itself is a basic sugar cookie dough. That's what it tastes like to me. The whole outside of it tastes like sugar cookie.
And you can even taste a little bit of the flour and stuff like that.
Yes, it's good. I like it. So it's a basic sugar cookie recipe. The apple on the inside is really nice. And I do think it's a nice recipe. But I think that I would, next time, I would add cinnamon to the apple mixture so that you were getting more of that apple pie filling. And the caramel sweet, I mean, filling, we didn't have any caramel filling. So, I mean, I just think there's just so many things about this recipe. I'm glad they even turned out as good as they did. Because really, when you put so many things that are wrong with this, it's a wonder they turned out as good as they did.
You know, one thing you could do is when you make it into the ball, you could roll it in cinnamon sugar on the outside too, make it like a snickerdoodle.
I love that idea.
Yeah, because that's a snickerdoodle usually has a cinnamon sugar coating on the outside.
You know, I like that idea better. So you're saying don't add cinnamon to the apples.
Well, you could add cinnamon to the apples.
Yeah, but you don't want too much cinnamon.
Yeah.
So you could leave the apples just like they are, but then after you form them into balls, before you put them back on the cookie sheet, roll them in cinnamon sugar.
Yeah, once you put the apple in them and they're ready to go in the refrigerator for a little while, roll them in powder and sugar and cinnamon, and then put them in the refrigerator, let them cool for a little bit.
That's what it needed. That's totally what it needed.
That would have made them snickerdoodle.
Yes, and that would have been perfect. Yeah. That would have been an awesome, awesome cookie. Yeah. So,
and if you could find softer caramels in the squares or whatever, that would have been fine too. But this just wasn't like that.
No, this wasn't like that.
Wasn't the kind of caramel.
I'm wondering if we shouldn't have bought the little bitty balls.
Yeah, the little beads. They look like little BBs almost.
The reason we didn't know is because the way they worded it, we needed these caramels.
Yeah.
We didn't need the little bitty balls that are in the baking aisle. So that's why we made the decision that we did. Yeah, but I think those would make them great if you rolled them into cinnamon sugar. Yeah. So you could see some recipes, you know, I'm ultimately it's a good cookie though.
Yeah, I'm happy with it. Just I like to add a little bit more cinnamon.
It just is named wrong.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the wrong name. So if you came here looking for a snickerdoodle cookie, then you didn't get the snickerdoodle cookie. So I hope you enjoyed the video and thanks for watching.